to the channel. My name is Oluwaseun, all right, and I'll be your instructor on this journey, on this wonderful journey. Today we want to discuss the tools, all right, that we need to install in order for us to, learn together on this journey. There are certain tools that we need to install, and then of course we have to create account on certain platforms that we're going to be using for our hands-on experience. All right, so the purpose of this video is to just quickly do a quick walkthrough, all right, on how to register your account on some of the platforms that we're going to be using and how to also install some of the tools that we're going to need in the course of this class. All right. So there are a few things that we're going to be doing. We're going to be creating a few accounts. We're also going to be installing some tools. Now, all of the tools that we're going to be needing, all right, we're not going to be installing everything, all right, in this particular video. Okay, so as we go on in the course of the class, we will tell us, all right, the tools that we need to install and then show to us how to install the tool, configure it, and then, other things that we need to do to make use of the tool. But this setup that we're going to be doing in this video are just basically the ones we need to get us started. Okay, so as we move on to, the advanced topics and some other courses that we're going to be, or topics that we're going to be looking at, then will tell us these are the tools that we need, and all of that. So the purpose of that is not just to throw a lot of things at us at the same time. It's to basically give us something that can get us started. And then as we move on, we then tell you, all right, other things that you also need to have installed in order to do, all right, some of the hands-on that we are going to be doing. Now, the first on our list is basically we're going to be creating an AWS free tier account. All right, that is the first thing on our list because all of the things that we're going to be doing, the EC2 instance, the server we're going to be using, database, every other thing that we need will actually be leveraging the AWS cloud, all right, free tier offering because we want to, as much as possible, reduce cost. Right, we don't want to spend so much, all right, in the course of this journey. Of course, at some point, we're going to be spending a few cents, a few dollars here and there. But of course, the free tier will still help us to reduce that cost as much as possible. And we're also going to be, telling us how to set up your budget on AWS and how to basically just, terminate all your resources as soon as you're done with your practicals and hands-on so that, you just reduce costs as much as possible. And like somebody said, that the most expensive instance on AWS is the instance that you refused to shut down or terminate. All right. So that's like the most expensive instance on AWS. So let's go ahead and see how we can, all right, create our AWS free tier account. Now, for those who are connecting maybe from Nigeria, all right, I don't know if the debit card that we have here would work. All right, but you can give it a try. I think banks like GT Bank, and all of that, I think they support, you can use their card on the AWS platform. But if you don't, if some of these cards are not working, you can try this virtual dollar card. I think Wema Bank has one from, they have this alert, mobile banking. So you can try that. You can also try, I think, cheaper cash. They have this Visa USD card. And I think Vesti also has a virtual USD card that you can also use. So you can try, all of those platforms, and then you'll be able to also register your account because you need a valid credit card or debit card to actually complete your account registration on AWS. Now, it's not as if they're going to debit you, all right? It's just that they want to be sure that it's not a robot that is creating an account on their platform. So that's why they're requesting for your card details. And then, of course, if you spend, go over your free tier, of course, they should be able to charge, all right, for what you have used on the platform. Is that okay? So let's head right into, all right, the creation. So first of all, we're going to be starting with this. Now, the address is actually aws.amazon.com/free. All right, that's the full address. And so here you're going to see this create a free account button. So you click on that. All right, and that will take you to the AWS portal. So here you're expected to put in your email address and then the name of the account. So the email address has to be valid. All right, it has to be an account that you have access to. Okay, so you don't put an address you don't have access to. All right, so let me try this. I think I just recently created a public mailbox from this website, Mailinator. All right, so I'm going to be trying that out to see if it's going to be accepted. All right, so I'm going to just put share at mailinator, all right, .com. So the name of the account can be named anything basically. And one thing you must also have at the back of your mind is that this account that you're creating is referred to as your root, all right, account. Okay, so which means it's more like your super user account. Is an account that can basically do anything within your environment. Is that okay? So it's your root account. All right. So once you put in your email address and then your account name, then you can click on verify your email address. All right. So the email address has to be verified. So the verification code has been sent. So I have to go to my mail, and right here you can see that I've gotten a mail from AWS. I'll click on this email, and then here is my verification code. So I'm going to just copy that. All right, and then come here and paste the code, and then I'll click on verify. So it's you, and it says your email address has been verified. So here you're expected to put in your root using your root password, and then you are supposed to confirm the password. So these are the password policies. So it has to be 8 characters minimum. All right, so uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and non-alphanumeric. So I'm just going to set up my own right away. Oops. Okay, so at least something you can remember. All right, doesn't have to be long, okay, but of course it must meet the 8 character minimum requirement. So continue. All right, so click on continue. All right, so that will take you to a page. So here now it is telling you some of the things you get when you register for the first time on AWS. All right, so there is the free tier offers are in 3 categories, right? So there are services that are always free, which of course never expires. There are services that are just 12 months free, and there are services that basically are just trials, which means 30 days, 10 days, 5 days. After that, of course, you have to make the full payment. Is that all right? So you can go ahead and just check this out. All right. But then we can just quickly do that. So if I click here and I go to AWS, all right, what's the address again? So let me just say AWS free tier. All right. So if I come here to the free tier section, all right, so I can see the 3 types of offers. So there's the free trial, there's the 12-month free, and then there's the always free. Okay, so if you scroll down, you are going to be seeing, all right, under the tier tab, you can actually just check on the 12 months free, and then that will just filter for you those services that are free for 12 months. So for example, the Amazon EC2, which is more like, you hosting a server in the cloud, is actually 12 months free. But of course, that 12 months free does not mean that you can use any, all right, kind of server, okay, in terms of the hardware specifications now, right? So the ones you can use it for 750 hours per month. All right, so that's the limit. Okay, so if you go over that, it's going to basically affect your 12 months, all right, duration. And so the kind of instances you can use for these 750 hours are, all right, the T2 micro and the T3 micro instances. Okay, so those are the ones that you can use. So which means if you go and use an instance that is above the T2 and the T3 micro, then you're going to be billed for that. Okay, so you should take note. And then for S3, which is an object storage, that is also free for 12 months. And then it gives you access to about 5 gig of storage and about 20,000 GET requests, which means, people making requests to download something from your S3 bucket, all right, about 20,000 GET requests. Okay. And then you have 2,000 push requests. So push request means, you want to upload something to your, all right, bucket. So that's about that. And then for database, which is the RDS, that is also 12-month free, but the same thing applies, all right, the same thing that applies to the EC2 also applies to RDS, right? So for the RDS, you can also do a single AZ, which means you can't try to do any kind of multi-AZ setup, all right? It has to be a single AD. And if you look at it clearly also, the instance type is also the T3 micro, all right, and the dbtg4 micro instances. Okay, so those are the instances that are eligible under the free tier. Okay, so you have to take note of all of these things. So now let's take a look at the ones that are always free. So if you click on the always free, all right, so it gives us the filter. So the DynamoDB, about 25 gig of storage, is all right, always free. All right, so even if you are not, even if your free tier usage has expired, all right, so the DynamoDB, this is always free, and of course it can be more than 25 gig. DynamoDB is a NoSQL, all right, kind of database which can be used for gaming setup, and other things like that. We're going to be talking about database in one of the videos, just telling you the difference between the SQL database and the NoSQL, all right, database. And then for Lambda, all right, Lambda is also always free, all right. You can use as much as 1 million requests a month, all right, for free. Okay, so Lambda is function as code, all right? So if you have just maybe a function you want to execute within 3 seconds and maybe 15 seconds or thereabout, all right, you can use a Lambda function, all right, for that. And then so you can just go ahead on your own and then just, toggle between these, right? You can click on the trials to see the ones you can use, just for trials. So for example, the Amazon SageMaker, which is more like the machine learning side of things, all right, or machine learning service on AWS, that is also free for 2 months. Okay, so you can use it just for 2 months, and then these are the conditions, all right, to using the SageMaker. And then you have the Light Sail, you have other services, Inspector, McKey, all right, and all of that. QuickSight, all these things are just free trial. The Guard Duty, all right, is also free for 30 days. Okay, and after that, of course, you start paying. So you can go on this website and then just give it a try yourself and see and get familiar, all right, with those services that are free and the ones that you have to pay for. All right, so let's head back into setting up our account. So here, under the contact information, you're going to go with personal, all right? So it's for your own project. It's not a business account, so it's going to be personal. And so here, I'm going to put my name, all right? Let me just put my name right here. All right, so of course your country code, if you're connecting from the US, all right, wherever it is you're connecting from, just make sure you put your country code and then you put your phone number. So I'm just going to put my, all right, I'm just going to say, all right, because I'm a Nigerian, proud one of that. So I'm going to put the details here. So my phone number, I'm going to register that. And so once you're done, you can just say continue. All right. Okay, so now here is where you will have to now put your credit card details, all right, and put your credit card details and everything. So you must have a valid credit card details at this point. So you'd accept Visa, Mastercard, AM Express, Discover. So you put in all of those details, right? So once you put in all of those details, now they've given you an information here that we will not charge you for your usage below AWS free limit. We may also temporarily hold up to $1, all right, for an equivalent amount in local currency as pending transaction for 3 to 5 business days to verify your identities, all right? So like I told us, the purpose of the credit card is not to debit you. It's basically just to confirm your identity and to be sure that it's not a robot that is trying to create an account. I want us to go through is the GitHub. Now, we need GitHub basically to set up we need to set up GitHub account, all right? And the purpose of the GitHub account is to be able to push our code into, all right, our GitHub repository, okay? Because we're going to be dealing with a lot of, all right, hands-on, script templates and all of that, shell scripting, Terraform template, Kubernetes, via manifest files, Docker compose files, Docker files, and all of that, all right? And then, of course, the applications that we're going to be building and all of those things. So we need to put them somewhere in a repository that is accessible. Okay. And don't forget, one of the things that I mentioned in the onboarding section is the fact that we have to embrace learning in public as much as possible. Okay. So pushing your code into GitHub repository and, making some kind of documentation is also a way to show yourself, all right, in public. Okay. So we're going to be setting up a GitHub account. And so all the things that we're going to be learning, we're going to be pushing them into this GitHub repository, all right, and, create a README file for it where people can walk through exactly what we have pushed into that repository. So that is also very pretty straightforward. So I'm just going to click on sign up from here. And of course, it's going to give us, here you have to enter your mail. So I'm going to use the same email that I used. All right, mailinator.com. Okay, so it's a public email. All right, it says email domain could not be verified. All right, am I making a mistake? Mail, leave me talk. All right. So let's click on continue and let's see if it's going to accept it. All right. So it's saying the email address could not be verified. So that means it's not going to accept this. But let me just copy it from here and let's see. All right. So sometimes some of these, okay, so let me put it there. So the email cannot be verified. All right. So it's pretty straightforward actually. So here you can put a valid email. All right. So for example, I can use let's just use this, AWS Cloud Pros at gmail.com. I think I already have an email with these on. All right. So it's telling us that the email address is already associated with an account. So just go ahead and put a valid email, all right, here. So it can be shaun at gmail.com, for example. All right, so that email has been taken already. All right, so just go ahead. Okay, so what you're going to do here is to basically just put a valid email and then just walk through the setup processes and all of that. So it's pretty straightforward, all right? I believe if you are able to, if you have an email account that you're using already, setting up a profile on this platform should not be, all right, it should not give you any kind of issues, okay? So if you have been able to set up your email successfully and all of that, all right, creating an account on GitHub should not, all right, be any stress whatsoever. Okay, so just go ahead and put your valid email, click on continue, and then follow, all right, the necessary steps. Okay, so moving on to the next. All right, so now we need to install some packages on our system. All right, so there are packages we need to install. For example, we need to install the Visual Studio Code, which is going to be our code editor that we're going to be using. Okay, and then we also need to install Git as well. But installing all of these tools, if you want to do them one after the other, go into their website. For example, I can come here and then I can search for Visual, all right, Studio Code. Okay, so it's going to take me to the site. But then if I want to go ahead and download, you write one by one, okay, it's going to take a while. All right, so it's not efficient that way. So the best way to go about it is to use what you call a package manager. All right, a package manager. Now, a package manager allows you to install, all right, more than one application at a time. All right, so for example, I want to install Git, I want to install Visual Studio Code, and then I want to install some other tools, right? Instead of installing them one by one on my system, I can actually use a package manager for that. Now, each operating system has its own package manager. So for Windows, we have the Chocolatey, all right, package manager. So as you can see from the description here, it says the package manager for Windows. Now with this package manager, if I have 10 applications that I want to install, all I need to do is to just use the package manager to do that installation, and I don't have any issues at all, right? So every installation will be taken care of, right? All the 10 installation that I specified. So let's see how we can use this package manager. And by the way, for those who are also using Mac, if you're a Mac user as well, there's also a package manager for Mac that is called the Homebrew. All right, the name is Homebrew, so it's similar, all right, to Chocolatey, right? So it's also just basically for Mac users. All right, now this is the way to install it. So I'm not a Mac, I don't have a Mac system. I'd love to demonstrate this to us, but all right. So if you want to install it, just copy this code and then open your iTerm or your terminal on your Mac system, copy this link and then put it in your terminal and then run the script, and then you have the Homebrew installed. So once you have the Homebrew installed, then you can go ahead and start installing packages using this command. So the command is brew install and then the name of the package you want to install. All right, so that is it right here. So brew install and then the name of the package you would like to install. And then if you want to search for any package, you can come here to search. All right, so just click on this place here. So click on search and then come here and search for whatever it is you want to, all right, install. So for example, if you want to install Git, for example, so you can search for Git, press enter, and then it shows you the command to do that. So brew install Git, and then that installs Git on your Mac system. So any package you're looking for, just click on the search button, put the name of the package there, all right, and install that package. So that is that for the Mac operating system. So now going back to Windows, so let's see how we can install Chocolatey on our system if you don't have it, all right, installed already. right? So here you're going to click on install first of all, because we have to install the package manager. All right. So the same way we have to install the brew on the Mac system before we start using it. All right. So for Chocolate as well, you have to install it on your system before you start using it to install packages on your Windows machine. All right. So if you scroll down here, all right, so you have to install it using this. All right, this is a long command that you see here. And this command has to be executed using your PowerShell, all right, on Windows. So you have to start up your PowerShell as an administrator. Now, but before you start your PowerShell, you have to run, all right, a particular command, which is get execution policy. Now, the get execution policy can return about two things. It can return restricted. It can return, all right, all signed and all of that. All right, two things basically, restricted and all signed. So the first thing you need to do is to go over, all right, is to go over to your PowerShell, open up your PowerShell from here like this, all right, and then you can grab these get execution policy stuff, all right, grab that, copy that, and then come to your PowerShell and basically just paste, all right? So it's not allowing me to paste. So just paste, all right? So, and then you click on enter. Now, if you look at what I have here, it is showing me what? It is showing me restricted, okay? Now, if it is showing me restricted, it means that I cannot run this command because it won't work. So what do I need to do? All right, so here, I'm going to copy this next one, all right? So copy this up to this point, copy, and then come to your PowerShell and simply paste that. All right. So let me delete this again. Copy. Okay. And then paste it. And then you press enter. All right. So it's going to ask you that do you want to change your execution policy and all of that. So you can use A. So A means yes to all. Right. So say A and then you press enter. Okay. So now once you have done that, now check your get execution policy again. All right, now it is what? It is all signed. Okay, so now if it is all signed, you can then copy this whole thing, all right, and paste it here, all right, and then PowerShell can be funny sometimes, right? So copy that, paste it here. So once you have it pasted, all you need to do now is to do what? Is just to press enter on your keyboard, and then the whole thing will get installed. So if I press enter on my keyboard, I already have Chocolate installed anyway, so it's not going to run. All right, because here it's telling me warning, Choco was found at this location. So I have it installed already. So I'm just doing this to show us how to go about, all right, the process. Okay. So Choco has been installed on my system. Now, once you have it installed on your system, you can now go ahead and start using it to install packages on your Windows machine. So how do you install packages, right? So you just come here to community. So click on community and that will take you, all right, to this page. Okay, so if you look at it here, there are about 10,000 unique packages and there are about 3 billion, all right, total community packages installed. Okay, so that's a lot of packages. So here you click on find packages, all right, and then under the suggestions, you can now start searching for the things that you want to install. Okay, so for example, I want to install Git, all right. So I will search for Git. By the way, you can also download the Git, all right, from this website. This is the main Git website where you can download Git from. So you can download for Mac, for Linux, and for Windows. But of course, like I said, going to the website and downloading one by one, it's basically just a waste of time, right? So what to do is to just use a package manager to basically just install all of the tools once and for all, right? So that way you save some time. And then one of the importance of using a package manager is the fact that it also helps you to, configure the paths environment variable. So if you have an application that requires you to, configure some kind of path environmental variables and things like that, the package manager also does that for you automatically, right? So you don't have to go through going to the environmental variable section, creating the path yourself and all of that. So the package manager will just take care of all of that for you automatically, okay? So here I want to search for Git, so I'm going to press enter. Now, don't worry about all these tools and things that we're installing, all right? So in the course of the class, these are things that we're going to be explaining to us in great details, okay? So don't worry if you don't know what Git is, if you don't know what Visual Studio Code does, that's totally fine. What we're just doing is to just show you, all right, the tools you need to have installed in your system that will allow you to practice, all right, and do all of the hands-on that we're also going to be doing in the course of the class. So do not bother, all right, if you don't know what the tools are used for or you've not, even interacted with it before, right? So in the course of the class, these are things that we're going to be holding your hands, all right, and walking you through how you use all of these things, all right? So here, this is a simple line, all right, Choco, install, and then the name of the package manager. So you can grab this, all right, go to your PowerShell again, paste it here. Now, this is just installing one thing. So if I want to install, like I said, 2 things, 3 packages, 4 packages, how do I do this? Okay, so I'm just basically just going to go back here. All right, I'm just going to put this here and then put this here like this. All right, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to say virtual, all right, studio code. So I'm going to search for that. So if I scroll down, I can see the Visual Studio Code right here. So this is about 1.9.2. All right, that's about 7 million downloads. So the name here is VS Code. So I'm just going to come here and then type VS Code. Okay, so just, separate them using space. Okay, now the next thing that I also need to install, all right, is the AWS CLI. Okay, so the AWS command line tool is also very important, all right, because we're going to be doing some things with the AWS CLI. Okay, now, if you don't know, there are basically different ways to access your AWS cloud environment. You can access it through the console. You can access it also through the CLI. So the CLI is the command line where you have to run commands in order to, do things, okay, within your AWS environment. Okay, but then the way to access the console is different from the way you access the CLI. But the CLI tool is important because there are a number of tools that actually ride on the CLI. For example, if you are using Terraform to provision infrastructure on AWS, right, the Terraform command line tool itself needs the AWS CLI credentials, all right, to be able to provision infrastructure within your AWS environment. So that's one of the reasons why we need to install the AWS CLI. If you have your Kubernetes cluster running within AWS as well, all right, using the EKS, okay, you also need the CLI configured with the right credential in order to access, all right, the Kubernetes cluster, okay? So that's the purpose of installing the CLI. Now, if you want to go by this installation page, it might be a little bit confusing. All right, and that is why we are specifically using Package Manager to do our installation instead of going, instead of installing all those packages just one by one. Is that all right? So if I'm using Windows, I'll click here and then it will take me through all of these steps. Like I said, all of these steps can be confusing for somebody who may not be patient enough and all of that. So the best way to go about it is to just go ahead and then go to your package manager. All right, and then search for AWS CLI. All right, just press enter. So if you scroll down, you can see it right here. All right, and then the name is just AWS CLI. So I'll just come here, a space again, and then say AWS CLI. Okay, so I have 3 packages that I want to install, and the line is just that. It's just what? Choco install Git, VS Code, and AWS CLI. Now, in order to make it a lot easier as well, I'm going to just say -y, basically to say accept all the defaults, right? So which means do not bother asking me, any question as to, do I want to go ahead and install? Do I want to check anything? Just go ahead and what? And install. So that is what the -y, all right, is doing right there. So I'm just going to go ahead now, and then I'll just say enter. So you just press enter. And then, of course, your Chocolatey, of course, will run. But if you look at what I have here, all right, so it's telling me that I already have all these things on my system. So I'm just trying to show you how to run it. So if you don't have all these things already on your system, of course, it's going to go ahead and do all of the installations, all right, for you. Now, another thing that you need to see from here is that now these things have been installed already, but here it is telling us that we can use what -force to reinstall, specify a version to install, or we can try, all right, to upgrade. Okay, so you can also try to what? To upgrade. So, and then here is giving us some warning, right? That we already have like the latest version installed for the CLI. For the Git, we already have also the latest version installed. And for the VS Code, we already have, more like the latest version, all right, installed. So there's no need to, go ahead and install again. But of course, for those of you who don't have this installed already, it's just basically going to show you, all right, all the installation steps. So you don't have to worry about these things that I'm seeing on my screen. This just goes to show that I already have these things installed. Okay, so that's why I'm getting this error that I am getting. Okay, so if there's any other package that you need, you can just go ahead here and then search. So for example, if you want to install Terraform as well on your local machine, all right, you can go ahead and search for Terraform, and then this is the Terraform script here. So just do choco install Terraform, and that will install it for you. If you need maybe Java, Maven, any other tool that you need, right? Just go ahead, put it there, and then install it. Okay, so and you have that tool installed. So now, after all of this installation, of course, we're going to start walking us through, all right, how to use all of these tools, all right, one by one as we go on this journey, all right, together. So thank you so much, guys. All right. It's a delight, going on this journey with every one of you. Like I said, as we go on in the course of the class, if there are other tools that we need to install, all right, of course, we're going to point our attention to it and show us how to install it, how to configure it, and all of that. But for now, these are the basic tools that we need, all right, to get started on this journey, all right, and to, move ahead in our bid to becoming, all right, proficient in DevOps. Okay, so thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you so much for watching the video. And if you are yet to subscribe to the channel, I'm encouraging you to please click on the subscribe button. There are a lot of people who need these resources. There are a lot of people who need this information. Share it with them. All right, like the video. All right, and of course, if you have any questions, make sure to use the comment section, all right, to post your questions. And when you're asking about anything, we ask that you please be respectful, all right, in how you answer your question or how you put anything in the comment section. All right, so thank you so much, and then I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.